Hello again, this is the last tutorial for the Touch of Frost blanket, and we're right out at the outer edge, the border going round the finish to finish off the blanket. And I'm going to show you today how to make this very simple but very effective little triangular edging. This is section 4 of the blanket, and you will have already made the round of Granny Trebles clusters in silver and one in the sparkly gold, and then you'll have done a round of simple treble stitches into the tops of every stitch in white, and this just gives a nice base to work the triangular stitches. So this is the part I'm going to show you today. So I'll put this blanket away. Oh, one other thing to remember before I put it away is that if you've been following the pattern correctly, you will be on the right side of the blanket, but make sure that your triangular border is worked on the front of the blanket. So remember, your joining stitch is always with its little ridge on the front, and of course the stitch marker is still in the middle, so that's on the front of the blanket. So I'm going to put this away for the time being and bring out my sample that I've been working on for the tutorials. It's much easier to work on because it's much smaller. It's not a complete finished version of the pattern, as you know. I don't have the squares from the third section, and in fact I don't even have the red holly berries from the holly border, but I've just worked my round of treble stitches on that edge, and then I can work the triangle to let you see it. Now, strictly speaking, this triangular stitch works in over a multiple of 7 stitches. So ideally, if you have the number of treble stitches along your edge divisible by 7, it's plain sailing. For various reasons that might not happen. My blanket, I think I had 118 stitches, which is not. I'm going to interrupt the video here, and I've just come in with this little extra piece to apologise and say that I think the heat was getting to me when I was making that video, because in actual fact, when you look at this section here, the treble stitches, there aren't 119 of them or 117 of them. There are in actual fact 217 of them around each side of the blanket. Now 217 is divisible by 7, and you will get 31 triangles out of it. Again, it's like I explained in the video, you might have 217, you might have 218, but that should there or thereabouts give you the 31 triangles. So forget what I'm saying about 117. I couldn't read my own notes. It's 217 treble stitches along each side. Problem really, because all you need to do is add an extra stitch somewhere, maybe at the beginning or the end. In fact, that's probably the easiest thing, is to work your side, and if you feel that there are less than 119 stitches, you can just add an extra one in at the end, and to do that you just put 2 treble stitches into the one stitch, and that would give you the right count. If you don't do that, or you forget to do that, don't worry, because if your count is out by 1 or 2, that's not really a problem. You can make a smaller triangle without anybody noticing, and the whole thing will be hunky-dory. Right, now to start this stitch, instead of starting in the corner, you can see that corner space there, I have skipped 2 stitches and I've attached my yarn in the 3rd stitch to the left of the corner. So I've attached my yarn and I've chained 1, and that will be the equivalent of a double crochet stitch. Now I'm going to miss 2 stitches and work into the 3rd stitch along, and to do that I'm going to make 3 treble stitches. So that's yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and then another one, and a 3rd one. And that's the first half of the triangle made, and it couldn't be easier. Very nice and very effective. What I'm going to do now is what's called a picot stitch, and that's really just a tiny little bobble to go on the top corner of my triangle, just to make it look a little bit different. So to do that, all you need to do to make your picot is chain 3 like that, and then look for, just at the sort of peak of this triangle shape, look for an inverted V. So that's 2 stitches that look like an upside down V, and that's basically this one and this one. So put your hook underneath both of them, you can see that little V shape, yarn over and pull through, and that's a slip stitch. And that's your picot made. So now all you need to do is 3 more treble stitches in that same stitch. And that's your triangle made. And you can see that little bobble on the top. Now you need to anchor this side is anchored down, this side needs to be anchored down as well. So again, miss 2 stitches, and in the 3rd one along, make a double crochet, and that just holds that triangle nice and flat against the edge of the blanket. Now to make a second one, you've got your double crochet, you want to miss 1, 2 stitches and treble into the 3rd stitch along. Once, twice, 3 times, and then chain 3 and pick up that little inverted V at the base of the chain and slip stitch, and then 3 more chains, and miss 2 stitches and double crochet in the 3rd stitch along. And there you can see your triangles taking shape. I chose the triangles because I felt they were a good sort of jagged shape to end the Touch of Frost blanket, with all the idea of ice and snowflakes and jagged shapes rather than anything too rounded. So that was the reason behind the triangle. Now I'm going to work along one side of my sample piece, and then I'll come back and show you what happens to get round the corner and onto the other side. Now I've worked all the way along my first side of this sample, and as you can see I've got to the end. Now what I've done is I've done my usual miss 2 and double crochet into the 3rd one along. Now in this sample it's not going to work out absolutely correctly, because strictly speaking I should have 2 stitches left before the corner, and I've just got 1. But this will let you see how easy it is to fudge this triangular stitch. I'm going to work a triangle over this corner, and just assume that instead of 1 stitch I've got 2. We're not going to worry about the fact that there's just the 1. So I'm going to make my first 3 treble stitches into the corner, and just as before, chain 3 and make the picot. Slip stitch, and then 3 more trebles in that same corner space, And that's me round the corner now onto my new side, and to continue along that side I just need to miss 2 stitches and double crochet into the 3rd stitch along, and there you see the corner made. I'm going to put something dark behind it so that you get a chance to see it more clearly. There is the corner made, and really there's nothing to show that there was that there was one less stitch in that corner than there should have been. So don't worry if you don't have 119 stitches. It's very easy to fudge the triangle stitch and make everything fit nicely. So it's really nice to have a triangle as well in the corner, and you know that when you come down this side the same thing will happen, and when you come back to the very first corner you just need to do exactly the same thing, and then double crochet in that same stitch where you started with the chain 1 and finish off, and that's your blanket complete. Bye for now.